Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is great to have you with me. To quote Eminem, guess who's back? Justin's back. What's going on? It's been a minute since I have dulted the airwaves, but having said that, it's good to be back. And football is back, ladies and gentlemen. The Minnesota Vikings defeat the Las Vegas Raiders 24-23 this past Saturday. I, along with my daughter, my gal, and her son, were in attendance in the nosebleed section, but hey, they were free tickets, so who's going to complain? It was a lot of fun. Good to see the SKOL chant going on. There were points in time to the game where it was just like, okay, this is a little boring, but the Vikings come away with the victory. And right off the bat, I have to admit, I lost track of how many timeouts the Vikings had in the fourth quarter. When they punted the ball with under 2 minutes left, I'm like, why is Kevin O'Connell giving up on the game? That doesn't make any sense to me. Just go for it. It's a preseason game. I thought that they had used one of their timeouts. So I said, all right, let's go. The game's over. They can't get the ball back. Au contraire. Yes, they can. And they did. And by the way, we're going to retire, and I'm going to speak to Rap on this. We're retiring Jaron Mahomes Hall for the rest of existence. That will never come out of my mouth again. So Jaron Hall, he's looking the part of a 5th-round draft pick. But we'll get back to that later if we have time. Let's get some shout-outs right off the bat because I got some people in here saying hello. Holy cow, Ice-T in the house. Hey, Sarah, how are you? Good to see you. My guy, Dave from Vikings First and SKOL. I'm going to try to bring Dave on here later. Now, he's got his appearance with Tyler on the Real Foreigner Show at 6:30 tonight. So we'll try to be out of here by then. But I'm going to have Dave come on, help me knock the rust off a little bit because I haven't been on the air since I think draft night was the last time I did something. Had a lot of stuff going on in my life, so we'll get to that here. In fact, let's just go ahead and kill the music. And then we'll do the special shout-outs as we always do. And then I'll give you guys a little update on what's been going on with me, and then we'll talk some Vikings. But first off, thank you, Sarah, for being the first one in the house. Thank you, Brother Dave. Appreciate you, as always. So we always start off the show. Is this your first time? Hit that like button. Wipe your feet at the door. It's free. Just hit that like button and help this get this pushed out. And if you don't already subscribe to both Purple and Gold for Days and Vikings First and SKOL, please do so, as well as the Vikings First and SKOL podcast feed on iTunes, Spotify, and your other favorite podcast aggregators. But if this is your first time here, well, before I do that, we got Nephew in the building. What's going on, JJ? Good to see you. It's been a minute. I know. So thank you guys kindly for joining me. But I start out my show by giving a little thank yous to some people that made this possible. You know, we love the fact that we can talk on YouTube about the Vikings or all of our other favorite sports teams, but I give some shout outs to some people that made that possible. And I'm talking about the active and veteran members of our armed forces who at one point or another made some sort of sacrifice so that we can have this great nation, that we are free to express our opinions, whether we like them or not. Thank you so very, very kindly to the active and veteran members, as well as their families, for the sacrifices they have given in one way or another. Shout out also goes to the brave men and women who serve in our law enforcement, our firefighters, and our EMS, who in times of tragedy are the ones that run towards the danger to help the rest of us get away from it. They potentially put their lives on the line every day when they go to work, so we're going to say thank you for all that they do to help keep us safe. And finally, to the doctors, nurses, frontline workers, surgeons, and home health care providers who in our time of medical need are always there to answer the bell. Their Super Bowl is going home saying, today, I saved a life. Now, why do I do that? I don't do that for any type of propaganda. I don't do this. I don't politic on my show. I just don't. I just say thank you to people who at times can work thankless jobs and don't get thanked enough. So thank you very kindly, ladies and gentlemen, of all those groups that I said. Couple of comments here, and then we'll get into the where the heck have you been? We got Lord Duncan in the building. What's going on? Welcome back. Hey, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I was worried. No, well, I'll get to that here in just a second. Sarah. Sarah says if we didn't, you'd be in jail. All right. The stuff you said about Kirk, well, you might have a point. Sarah. But okay. So this spring, I had a little extra work handed to me on the job, so a little bit of my time was taken away there. I had made some choices in life that I had to correct and that I've now corrected, and I've had to reallocate my time. So I was set in June to start doing maybe once a week. Well, then something happened to your boy. The day before his birthday, nonetheless. Okay. I'm going to get to the Vikings. I really am. So stick with me, ladies and gentlemen. But I've had a few people message me, say, hey, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay. I was at a wedding and I had to use the restroom. Okay, no big deal there. As I was coming out of the restroom, I was holding the door open because it looked like somebody was about to walk in, and they decided, no, I'm going by. It's fine. I accidentally just let the door slip, and it recoiled a little faster than I had anticipated. And out of instinct, I just threw my hand up and said, oh, I don't want that to hit me in the head. And I hit the thing square on the door handle. Now, why am I telling you this? Oh, I broke my hand on a bathroom door. No, this was an outdoor wedding, ladies and gentlemen. So it was, in fact, one of those outdoor facilities that you rent, that you say at a baseball field or in the parking lot of US Bank Stadium. So as somebody very near and dear to me has repeatedly reminded me, I biffed my hand on a biffy. Let that sink in. So yes, it's a lot better now. And what's funny about it too is when I first got it wrapped the couple days after the fact, she used to call me Chubbs, like the guy Chubbs from Happy Gilmore, because it did in fact look like I had a wooden hand with all of the bandages and wraps and all that on there. So laugh it up. I've now put it on the YouTube airways. I can't take it back. I can't run from it. Not that I was going to, but full disclosure, yes, I broke a bone right here, and it was not fun for about 5 weeks. I've got another week or so with this on here. Most of the pain is gone, but yeah. And I didn't have like 52 drinks. I only had like 2 that night. So it's not like I was just out of nowhere. But yes. All right, Sarah, I'll put this up here. It's not funny, but it's funny. Biffy. Yes. So, eventually Too Evil to Hope will see this, and maybe he'll be done with the Tay-Tay or the iced tea, and he'll just call me Biffy. Or call me Biff. That's the other thing. This wonderful person in my life occasionally has sent me a text with the meme of Biff Tannen from Back to the Future. So I got Biffy. I've got Chubbs from Happy Gilmore. And yes, that's part of what has kept me off of these airwaves for a little bit. Again, a lot of it was work. A lot of it was, hey, I've had to reallocate some time to things that are important in life, and reestablish some relationships. One in particular who was very near and dear to my heart. And ultimately, yeah, after that plus work, I just haven't had the time, but I am back. Now, I'm only going to do probably 1 live a week. I'm not going to be doing 2 or 3 anymore. That's probably not in the cards, because it is a long distance thing. And there's just time that I've said, okay, I'm going to take this amount of time to do content, and the rest of it is pushed on to more important things in life. So that's the story of where I've been. So the next time you see me, I might still have this brace on. I might not, but let's get some shout outs and then let's talk some Vikings football. We got How About No, what's going on? Good to see you, Sarah. Just being honest about her. Yes, absolutely. Funny, but not in real life. Yeah, that is correct. You are absolutely correct. How about no? Thank you so kindly for joining me. I appreciate it. Hand got Roddy in the body. Oh, Lord Duncan. I should have realized it was either going to be you or Too Evil to Hope that we're going to come up with a wonderful one-liner. So we'll add that to the lexicon. Shout out my guy, Rap. What's going on, Rap? Good to see you. He is back. You are correct. We got the GG guys in the house. What's going on? Not sure which one of you guys it is, but whether it is Jamie or Casey, thank you so kindly for joining. Are you guys going tonight? You guys going at 6:15? What time you guys going? Put it in the chat and we'll let you know. Let everybody know here. You knocked out of the joint. Yes, indeed. Dave's in the background. I'm just going to give my opening salvo here, Dave, and then I'll bring you on, and then we'll just tag team it the rest of the way. What's going on? I want to mock. Bob is in the building. What's going on? Welcome back. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Missed you guys. Okay, so let's talk about the subject everybody's talking about, and that is J.J. McCarthy. 2 things. 1, he looked the part. He didn't look nervous. 2, no, he's not ready to instantly be the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. Not just yet. I know. It's like opening a Christmas gift on Christmas Day, and then springtime comes around and you just want to play with that toy. Listen, Kevin O'Connell's doing the right thing by slowly marinating him and slowly bringing him along. There is no rush. I know. As Viking fans, we have PTSD from all of the bad quarterback situations we've had in the past. The simple fact is outside of Fran Tarkington and a touch of Tommy Kramer and a little bit of Wade Wilson and a little bit of Dante Culpepper, we have not had our guy at the quarterback position for more than 3 or 4 years. Yes, we had the mercenary that was Kirk Cousins. We had the one-hit wonders of Brett Favre, Randall Cunningham, Jeff George, go on through the list. It's okay. We don't need to get JJ out there just yet. But boy, oh boy, I was in the house at US Bank Stadium on Saturday. Nosebleed sections. Again, they were free tickets, so I'm not really going to complain all that much. But, man, we had a beeline on that deep pass to Tristan Jackson. It was a frozen rope from where he threw it to where he caught it right in front of us, way high up. As soon as he let that ball go, and he had nobody around him, so he had all day to throw. But as soon as he let that ball go, I looked straight down. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this guy's wide open. Boom. And, you know, what's funny about it, here's the thing. Some people want to be like, oh, interception. He's a bust. Slow down. Calm down. That interception almost was probably, I'm not going to say it was a good thing, but it allowed him to say, you know what? I'm not nervous about this anymore. He even said it in one of the post-game interviews. It's like, hey, it allowed me to just stop thinking about it. I was so impressed with JJ McCarthy. And it's funny. I was at training camp last week. Or was it a week ago, excuse me. And after practice and after the autograph session, after everybody was gone, the kids were over in that section close to where the team comes out of the building, and they were all screaming, JJ, JJ, JJ. And he waved, and he kind of was just like, okay, yeah, I'll come on over there and I'll come sign some autographs. Now, he said to the security lady had already said nobody else is getting back here. And after everybody got one, they escorted him out. So it wasn't like people kept coming. But there was a good 20, 30, 40 people there, roughly. And he signed every autograph. He signed every ball, every jersey, every ball cap, everyone. He said, hey, everyone who's here right now, I'll get you signed. And then I got to go. And with about 5 people left, the Vikings guys were just like, come on, we got to get going. You got to get going. You got to do some more film study. Because remember, that day he didn't really have the best practice. Came out a little bit better the next day. But I'm so impressed with this kid. Again, the guy's only 21 years old. He's not even going to be 22 until, I believe, December is when his birthday is, or maybe it's January. The bottom line is towards the end of the year. 21 years old. And he said, hey, he wasn't scheduled to give autographs. He didn't have to take the time to do it, but he did. He came on over, smile on his face. People asked, one guy asked him, so I think you're going to start by week 3 or week 4. And he deflected. He's like, you know what? Sam's going to do a great job, and I'm just learning stuff, and kind of deflected, kind of like KOC has been. But nothing short of spectacular from JJ McCarthy right now. Again, it's one preseason game. And yes, he still has a lot of work to do. But I think we can finally put the notion to bed that we can't find a guy. I think we found our guy. That's the opening salvo. I'm going to bring Dave from Vikings First and SKOL on here. He's going to help me knock the rust off here. I got to remember which buttons to push here. Dave, how are you, my good friend?
I'm doing great, and it's great to see you online again.
It's been a minute.
Missed you.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been quite a minute.
Tyler, and Darren had a great show yesterday. I didn't get a chance to text you that, and I know you guys are got a show lined up here for the next half hour here, but give me your 30 to 60 second Cliff Notes version of the game without giving away too much of your material that's going to broadcast here in about a half an hour.
Hey, Vikings fans have something to smile about. The future is bright.
Beauty.
JJ McCarthy is bringing that to us. Now, is he ready to start? No, there's a little bit more polish we want to do. I described it Sunday and yesterday as polishing a gemstone. There's a little bit more polish we need to do.
Absolutely.
If you look, his footwork's a little off, his timing, especially on the interception, was a little off, stuff like that. But as long as he can slow cook and Kevin O'Connell and crew, work that, he's going to get better and better. And he's still got to watch how a live actual game, i.e. week 1, week 2, week 3, works and behind Sam Darnold. So I think it's fine, but I think the future is bright. I am so pleased. It's been a long time. You listed a few quarterbacks that we've had that were, short timers. And then there was the mercenaries, Brett Favre being a good one, Randall Cunningham, stuff like that. But they were never the franchise quarterback that we wanted that could be with us for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
And not since Tarkington. So be happy,
yes,
Vikings fans. Be happy. This is wonderful.
I equate it to the 10 or 11-year-old who just for some reason got a mountain bike 10 speed that you really shouldn't get until you're about 15 or 16, who just desperately wants to get out on the sidewalk, go to a parking lot and ride that mountain bike around. And mom and dad are just like, okay, we got you this bike so that we don't have to buy you another bike in 3 years when you're actually ready for it. But slow down, keep the training wheels on. And I'm not saying McCarthy has training wheels. I'm just using the analogy, but it's okay that we're not taking our shiny toy all around town just yet. Sam Darnold looked pretty good on that first drive, had a couple of drops. Otherwise, that drive would have ended up in a touchdown. And it's not surprising that he only got one drive because I think the Vikings are going with the joint practices with the Browns this week and then no joint practices with the Eagles next week. I think we're going to see a lot of Nick Mullins this week because we didn't get to see him at all on Saturday, and then maybe see a little bit more of, I'm not saying he's going to play the whole game, but I think we'll see more of the Sam Darnold and McCarthy in game 3 because there won't be joint practices this week. But at the end of the day, the Vikings are in a good spot. And you know what? If Sam Darnold isn't much of anything, then you can put the kid in. This season, we always try to win. But this season isn't that year like 2018 and 19, where you signed Kirk Cousins to be the last piece of a team that was coming off an NFC championship game. Nobody's saying anything about tanking. Nobody's saying anything about how we're just punting on the season. But this season is about setting up 25, 26, and 27. So if JJ McCarthy does the Patrick Mahomes bit where he only plays one game his rookie year and then starts week 1 of year 2, that's okay. And if it's somewhere else in between, so much the better.
That's okay too. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, I disagree with you on how much playing time in the preseason Sam Darnold's going to get. He and JJ are both going to get heavily worked out, but especially him this week against the Browns. I suspect on Saturday on the game against the Browns, we don't see Sam Darnold, and I doubt we'll see him in game 3. We're going to get our doses then of more of Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall than. And we obviously didn't have Nick Mullins last weekend.
Right.
But I do suspect we'll see some JJ, at least in this next upcoming game. Now, I hope, and we probably will see him in the third one against the Eagles as well. But at that point in time, I think KOC is going to hold Darnold back and say, no, you're the week 1 starter. You're good. We'll work off the field. We don't have to worry about it. And we'll roll that way. But that's just me thinking. I could be wrong. I've been wrong numerous times before. But to me, it doesn't matter. The team is, I think right now, better than Vegas anticipates. Vegas over under 6.5 games. I think we're a lot better than that. I think the division is a lot better than
Absolutely.
that.
This might be the best division in football.
It's getting there. Last year, it was the AFC North, right? Because all 4 teams had above 500 records. This year, it may become the NFC North, or it's going to be really, really close. And then the following in 25 is where I think the window is going to be really wide open. And then just watch out after that, because I think this is going to be absolutely wild to watch. And I'm here for every bit of it.
Absolutely. We could spend the entire time just talking about JJ McCarthy. So I'm going to say let's take the next couple of minutes and then wrap it up. And then let's throw it over to the defense as well as some of the other players. But one of the things I put in the description was, did we sleep on the depth of this wide receiving core? Everybody was talking all offseason. Well, you got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, but what do you got after that? Well, Jalen Naylor, his only downfall this first couple of seasons has been his health concerns or injury concerns, as it were. He has looked the part in training camp, and boy, did he look the part yesterday, both with Sam Darnold and with JJ McCarthy. I think it's pretty safe to say that he is absolutely soaring up the number 3 wide receiver position as long as he can stay healthy. And Tristan Jackson didn't look too bad Saturday either. Yes, I know it's preseason, it's against second and third stringers, but doesn't matter. Your production is what your production is. Yes, you take it with a grain of salt and you don't read too much into it, but this wide receiver core seems to all of a sudden have some depth and maybe not going to miss Jordan Addison for 3 games, whenever that may be. But what are your thoughts overall on the receivers?
I think you're right. I think prior going into the preseason, we were looking for, should we go out and get another wide receiver? It doesn't look like we have anybody. It's a question mark at wide receiver 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I think, no, they're not even going to bother looking for anybody.
Right.
I think they've pretty much got it sewed up. I think Jalen Naylor is wrapped up wide receiver 3, as long as he stays healthy. I think Brandon Powell, even though we didn't see much of him yet on Saturday, will be probably your wide receiver 4, but he could be moved to wide receiver 5. He's also a special teamer. When you get down to that point, when you're talking about 4, 5, 6, if they keep that many, the guys on the bottom have to play special teams.
Right.
So that's where Brandon Powell is going to be his value. And we know from last season, he played well when he was in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Problem with Brandon Powell's, he's a little bit diminutive of size. So, but I think we've got it. Tristan Jackson, if he has another couple games like this, he's going to make the squad. He'll be like the wide receiver 5. So I think we're in better position for the wide receivers now than we have been in a long time. Keep your fingers crossed that Jalen Naylor stays healthy, because I think Justin Jefferson is the best in the NFL, period. On the planet, right. He's the best wide receiver, right. No stop. And then there's Jordan Addison, who's looking a whole lot better than he was last year, and he wasn't bad last year.
Yeah.
I think we're golden, and it's going to be fun, both with Sam and JJ McCarthy throwing to him.
When Kene Nwangwu got that handoff that he ultimately took for a touchdown, he wears number 26, and he kind of reminded me of another 26 in Robert Smith. Not that I'm saying that he is completely to that level, but when he turned that corner, he had that same gait, those long strides that Robert Smith did. I'm like, I thought the guy had the angle on him, and he's not catching him. He's not catching up to him at all. So let's talk about the running back. We already know about what Aaron Jones is going to be, and outside of the dropsies from Ty Chandler on Saturday, I think we're set there. And Kene Nwangwu might have had some difficulties making this roster with the new kickoff rules. Do you think that Kene Nwangwu has any concerns of making this roster, or do you think he is at this point set as their number 3 running back?
I think he's the number 3, and they probably only keep the 3 and then CJ Ham.
All right, let's talk about the defense. Still have some polishing to do, particularly in the middle. That being said, we've talked about it in camp. It's been talked about by all the content creators as well as the reporters. We talk about guys like Doogie and Judd and Matthew Collar and whatever. Their 7th round pick. Give me his name one more time, because I think that I don't think I quite have the pronunciation right, but the big nose tackle who got
Levi Drake Rodriguez.
Drake Rodriguez. I hadn't seen him until Saturday, but I've heard so much about him. He absolutely looked the part. Now, I'm not saying that we have found our Pat Williams, Jerry Ball kind of guy, but everybody's been talking about this guy's motor doesn't quit. He's got the same kind of motor as John Randall. I was like, whoa, slow down a little bit on that, but he looked the part. Also had a pass breakup. He's got the long hair, the Jared Allen mullet, so to speak. I know he's a tackle and not an end, but he did not disappoint. Of all the defensive players that I was looking forward to seeing, he did not disappoint, and I'm absolutely stoked for Drake Rodriguez. What are your thoughts on his play on Saturday?
He's making the team. He'll be in the rotation. It's great to see from a 7th rounder that somebody, he's a little small for a nose tackle, believe it or not. You want him, 3, 4, 5 inches, a little bit bigger, and 50 more pounds. But hey, if he gets there, like the greats with the motor and can push upfield. Now, one of the pass breakups, I saw him push. Now, I'll mark this. I haven't watched all 22 yet.
Yeah,
but I saw him push when I watched live. Now, on one of the deals, he looped around and he had a almost free shot.
Yeah.
But he doesn't stop. And it's so good that we have somebody on the interior now that can do that. And I think if you're going to count who's going to stay on the interior, obviously Harrison Phillips has got the starting job. Bullard's probably your number 2, but then you might slide in Levi Drake Rodriguez into that 3rd rotational spot as one of the guys that moves in there. Jacqueline Roy didn't do worth a damn.
I didn't see anything from him
on Saturday. And So you move on, you get better. You should constantly be improving. If that's the mindset of the team, 2025 is going to be awesome.
Yes. The reason I wanted to start out with LDR is it seems all of a sudden that we have a great deal of depth with the edge pass rushers and the linebackers just out of nowhere. And again, I'm not going to go too far down the Kirk Cousins rabbit hole because we did that ad nauseum for however many years. But when you decide to not sign Kirk Cousins, and I will also say Danielle Hunter, so we'll put them both in there so that if there's any stands left out there, they can't say I'm just making it all about Kirk. But when you don't have a $45 million quarterback, you can have this thing that we used to call roster depth. We haven't had it since 2017. If you guys can recall, in 2017, the starting quarterback was Sam Bradford, and then you had Teddy Bridgewater off his injury, and you were able to sign a Case Keenum because you actually had money where you can get a halfway decent third string quarterback. You signed Latavius Murray before you drafted Dalvin Cook. Now, why am I going down this road? Well, because Sam Bradford and Dalvin Cook got hurt and we still made the NFC Championship game. Why? Because we didn't have too many high price players. We had this thing called roster depth. And yes, Danielle Hunter, out of all the pass rushers that we have signed and drafted, is probably still overall the best pound for pound player as a pass rusher. But now that you have multiple chess pieces that Brian Flores can use, again, Turner looked great. You always love seeing your edge defensive player getting a sack in his first preseason game, but they've got pieces all over the place on the outside as well as the linebacking core. I am really excited to see what Brian Flores does. Last year, took a horrible defense and made them from the 30th scoring to about, I believe, 15 or somewhere in there. Now, you can do that with smoke and mirrors. Now, can you move from 15 into the top 10 with smoke and mirrors? No. Your smoke and mirrors eventually got figured out in the last month of the season. But now that he actually has multiple pieces that he can use, I'm not saying that this defense is going to be top 5, going to be the Ravens of 2000 or the 85 Bears. But I think that this defense can be even more respectable than it was through the middle part of the season last year with all this depth. And I haven't been able to say that for 6 years.
I agree. And I think we're going to improve the pass rush this year because of the combination of all that. You have Dallas Turner, Van Ginkel. You have I'm getting old, killing brain cells. The other dude, Grenard.
Right? Yes.
Those are your 3 premier edge rushing pass rushers. Now, you can see Dallas Turner come to the inside on pass rushing sets. That's great. And if you get some push guys on the inside on the defensive tackle, like maybe Levi, Drake Rodriguez, you can really cause some angst to the opposing quarterbacks. You're going to need that because where we are weak is on the corners, right?
Which we're gonna, that's the next one.
And the best way to help them if they're weak is to get pressure. So if he can do that, if he can mix and mash and throw people in there to, rush the passer, and he already started on Saturday. There was one play. He had 8 guys on the line, which I think it was O'Connell that was a quarterback at the time, and he was like,
this is a preseason game. Why are we treating this like it's the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl? Like, come on. But I'm just really excited to see a team. Again, we all love having superstars, but at some point, you can't keep everybody. And at some point, you need to turn your roster over. It's something that I had gone on for a couple of years, which is to say, hey, I think we've gone as far as we can go with this roster constructed the way it is. A lot of that for some fans and some in the media was directed specifically at the quarterback because the quarterback's the most important piece of the team, and he also makes the most money on the team. So, of course, he's going to get a little more of that shade, but it doesn't change the fact that this team really hasn't been needed. I hate to say this, but since we lost that divisional round game against the San Francisco 49ers in 2019, which is the last game that Stephon Diggs played here, we've played 4 seasons. We've had 3 losing seasons. Okay? I know we don't like saying that, but that's the facts. The fact is that we could have signed Cousins and Hunter and maybe signed 1 or 2 of these other ancillary pieces and might have progressed further this season than we may or may not with Sam Darnold. That's debatable. I'm not saying it's absolutely true. I'm saying it's debatable. But I'd rather have a team that, even if we have the same kind of record, 7, 8, or 9 wins, and just barely miss or barely squeak into the playoffs and lose in the first round, I'd rather have a team that was overhauled. The slate was laid clean on the salary cap, and that is ascending towards becoming a team that can push past topping out at the divisional round of the playoffs, because that's as far as this team was ever going to go over the last 6 seasons. And I'm not putting it all on one person. It's the whole team. It's bad drafting by the previous GM. So that's the last I'm ever going to say about a guy in Atlanta who all of a sudden had his replacement drafted 5 minutes after he signed there. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. That's for Sarah. That's for
who had a good game himself down there this weekend.
Absolutely. And I've said it before. I'll say it again. I think Kirk is going to make that team the favorites to win that division and probably host a wild card game. And I do think that they could probably easily get to the divisional round of the playoffs. And I don't think they'll get any further than that. But that's just
you have more faith in him than I do.
I'm trying to be fair. But
he can win their division. The NFC South is not a quality powerhouse division.
Right.
But no, I saw a tweet today from Adam West, and Adam West has been known as a Kirk hater, but over time, but I like him a lot. Talked to him for years now. Yes, Batman, Adam West. But he said, people have to beware. JJ McCarthy is the real deal, right? Caleb Williams is the real deal. Detroit looks to be the real deal. And hopefully Penix is the real deal because LOL. But he hopes that between JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff and company, that the division gets so good that Jordan Love doesn't win another football game when they play the division here on out. And I'm all for that.
And you know what? I am all for the Packers giving him all that money. And you know what? If he turns out to continue to progress, then bully for him. But this is what I've been saying, and it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. I've said it a million times that I think Kirk and Dak Prescott are the same guy as far as how far you can go with them. And there's so many of these young quarterbacks that are getting paid roughly the same as what Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow are getting. It's like, okay, but I understand to a point, because if you don't pay those guys, then you're starting over at the quarterback position again. And as an owner and a general manager, well, do I want a guy who's going to keep me good, not great, or do I want to start over and open the possibility of being bad? That's playing scared. The idea isn't to not be bad. The idea is to be great, which is what I've been saying for the last however many years, and why I'm very ecstatic. Even if this season turns out to be horrible, worst case scenario, if this team wins 5 games, and I agree with you. I think there's too much talent on this team to be a 5-win team, but let's just say that it happens just for the sake of conversation for 2 minutes. Okay. 5-13 means you missed the playoffs. And if you had stayed the course, you would have been fighting for being the last team in the playoffs again. What's the real difference? Nothing. So again, I'd rather see a team, if they had to take a step back in order to take 2 steps forward to elevate and push through again, I'm all for it. And like I said, and like we've both said, JJ McCarthy, he's not going to be CJ Stroud unless something happens. Gosh forbid if Sam Darnold has an injury and he has to be, plucked in there before he's ready. Everything is fine. This season is almost gravy. Whatever happens. It's just about developing and taking those next steps. But as far as the cornerback depth position, and we're going to wrap it here in about 3 minutes to give you guys time to go over to Vikings First and SKOL, hit the like button on there, and watch Tyler and Dave give their post week 1 of the preseason thoughts. You think I haven't seen anything before I went on. We haven't signed Stephon Gilmore yet, have we?
No, I have heard nothing. I've been looking all day, but I've heard nothing. I may have missed it, but I've heard nothing.
I think this is a move that the Vikings absolutely should make. Now, I'm not saying you break the bank and you sign him to a 3-year fully guaranteed contract, but and I don't want to get too far into this because there's a football aspect to the conversation with KJ, and then there's also the human element, and it's been discussed ad nauseum, and other content creators and media have covered the tragic situation, and I don't want to just go back to that, even though I haven't done any content since then. But I think this is a move that they need to make. You lost Blackman for the entire season, which is also an unfortunate injury because I liked what we saw with him, but you have to, am I wrong? You absolutely have to make a move like this, don't you?
I think so. And I don't think it's going to be that expensive. I figure it's like a $3 million base and a $5 million total for a year's rental because he is coming up on retirement. But that's cool. You might throw a little bit more incentives in there. Maybe he makes 10, right? If we go all the way to the Super Bowl. Cool. I'm happy with that.
Yes, we'll take that.
I do believe, I think it's the right move. Will it happen or not? I don't know. Gilmore is, he's 34 years old, I think.
Yeah.
And he may be saying, hey, this is great. I love it. Yeah, I'll sign right the week before, right after the third preseason game. Because he doesn't want to come to camp.
No.
And he's worked with B-Flow before. I think it would be very good to have him. You have him, Shaq, and Murphy in there as your starting 3 corners, and they're okay. They're not bad. They're not terrible. They're okay. They're not going to be Pro Bowlers, but they are okay. And I think if we've got some pass rush and we've got a stacked safety room behind them, I think that's okay. And I think, with Cashman and come on, David, 0. Number 0. Ivan Pace. All right, Rap, you can slap me up with that one.
Pace gang. I was going to say Pace gang.
With Pace, I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine with good but not great corner play. That's what I want. And we'll be competitive. We'll probably have a top 10 defense. It might be on the lower end of top 10, but top 10 defense.
Sure.
As long as the offense continues to grow and score points, which I think is going to be the case, what's to stop it? We've got the best wide receivers in the league, as a whole, as a package. We've got TJ Hawkinson hopefully coming back a little bit sooner than anticipated, and he's good. We've got Aaron Jones running the football with Ty Chandler, who showed some spark when he's running, right? Being able to spell him. Things are good, just as long as Sam Darnold can throw him the football, which looks like it's the case.
Absolutely. I want to give some shouts because we've been having such a great conversation that I have not said a few names that have come into the building here. So I thank everybody. We got my guy, Tony. What's going on, Tony? Good to see you. Gary, I know I put you guys up here earlier, but thank you again for stopping by. We got Dave Thibodeau in the building. We got T-Bass. What's going on, T-Bass? Good to see you as well. Luminous Grin, thanks for stopping by. And of course, we have the matriarch. We have the original queen. We've got Miss Mary. Mary, thank you so kindly for joining us as always. Want to remind you guys here that we're going to be wrapping this up here in just a couple of minutes, but go on over to the page of Vikings First and SKOL to catch the Real 4-0 show, which will be starting at 6:30 Central Time here this evening, where Dave and Tyler will give their 6:35. I beg your pardon. Well, just go there at 6:30 and hit the like button and hit the notification bell. Then go grab a beer or whatever the case may be. But come on back to Vikings First and SKOL here this evening as well. With all that being said, I just want to say thanks, Dave, for giving me a little bit of extra time tonight. I want to thank everybody that has joined us. I have been out of commission for a while. I don't know. Did you heard my story? Yes. Dave, yeah.
And you deal with money and calculators and buttons. I was worried about your fingers there for a second.
The first 3 weeks, it was wrapped all the way to the top, and I was, doing the dipsy doodles. Boss man was very gracious, and he's like, well, just get done what you can, and eventually you'll get. I'm almost done with the pile that has backed up from the accounting standpoints of the things that I do. But we still always got the payrolls out on time, which is ultimately what's the most important thing. But boss man was gracious. Friends and family around, for the most part, have been wonderful. As I said, the very special person in my life always loves to give jokes. Like I said, the Biff Tannins and the Chubbs from Happy Gilmore have made an appearance once or twice, both in text and in conversation. But jokes aside, if you haven't already done so, hit that like button on the way out. If you don't already subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends on the Twitter machine, the X machine, the Facebook machine, and any other machine. Yes, indeed, I am back. Real quick, give a brief summation. What are you and Tyler going to talk about here in exactly 12 minutes?
We are doing I called it Vikings versus Raiders afterthoughts, but it's about mainly JJ McCarthy's first, trip. He's set off on the Viking voyage. He's on the longboat and he's going. Now, I'm a lot more positive than when it comes to talking about JJ McCarthy than Tyler is. Tyler looks at it a little bit more critical than I do. I tend to think I like the leadership, the poise,
right?
The ability not to get flustered. And I said it yesterday and the day before. Normally when our previous quarterback, Sarah can vouch for this, would throw an interception straight off the get-go, he'd turtle up for the game and have a crappy game. We didn't see that. He had the bad interception. I agree, right? His timing, everything was off. It was a bad interception. Did he turtle up? Oh, hell no.
Absolutely not.
He turned on the coals, baby. And that's what we need. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in 10 minutes.
And in some ways, it almost, he said it himself. You know what? I had some jitters. I was feeling nervous. I was a little tight. That kind of freed me to just say, to heck with it. Let's go. Let's play. First live action. All right. You got the goosebumps. You knocked the rust off, so to speak. And he was just late on the pass. I mean, if he had laid that out a little bit sooner or decided to scramble, he would have been fine with it. But to a certain extent, sometimes you learn more from the mistakes you make than the successes that you have. You don't want too many successes. Like you said, you don't want to be Kirk Cousins and turtle up and be afraid to throw another interception. You also don't want to be Brett Favre, who just says, bleep it, I'm just going to throw it. And if I throw 15 more interceptions, no big deal either. You want to be somewhere in the middle with that. But as I talked about earlier, this kid, his future looks so bright. And as you have said, the leadership aspect, his teammates rave about him both on and off the field. So regardless of what happens, we got to keep her.
Yes, we do.
Dave.
And it's been good to kick the rust off you tonight.
Thank you
on the air.
Thank you.
Talking Vikings again.
Well, I redesigned the look a little bit. Somebody very special gave me this nice, I'm doing the wrong bit.
Clock?
The nice little Vikings clock. I know it's got a reflection of the light on it, but she gave me that for my birthday, and it means a lot. And it means a lot to be back. I missed you guys. This has been a lot of fun as always, and football's just around the corner. We just got a couple of weeks. My daughter starts school in 2 weeks. She actually starts before Labor Day. We got the Minnesota State Fair that's around the corner. And when the State Fair comes to town, Vikings is right behind it. So thank you kindly, everybody, for joining us this evening. Again, hit that like button if you don't already. Hit the subscribe button. Share this out here. And go on over to Vikings First and SKOL to see Dave and Tyler with the Real Forno Show. Thanks again, Dave. I appreciate you, my friend. What do we say, Dave?
SKOL Vikings.
SKOL Vikings, baby.